Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, tonight I'm going to be talking about the game of baseball. The point of this speech is just to throw some interesting facts and figures out there to you and to really talk about more or less the economics involved with baseball. The idea for this speech came to me about a month ago when Armando Galarraga for the Detroit Tigers, and a lot of us have probably saw this on the TV, was 1 out away from throwing a perfect game. And all he had to do at the end of it was the batter hit a ground ball to the first baseman, he ran over, he technically got the guy out, but the ump blew the call and he didn't get the perfect game, so it was robbed from him. And the story was in the news for weeks, and even afterwards it was a huge deal. And as this whole thing occurred to me, I started asking myself, why is this such a big deal? After all, it's just a game, right? And I started thinking about it, and I started thinking, well, I know that I get the fact that these are grown men playing a game, and there's a lot involved with it. There's a lot of money involved with it, and there's a lot riding on it. So there is a lot of pressure on these guys to go out there and perform day in and day out. It's a high-stress, high-level game. But I really started thinking, well, just how much money is involved with the game? So I started doing a little bit of research, and that's what I was going to present to the club tonight. One of the interesting things I found about baseball is that in the major leagues, the minimum salary for a Major League Baseball player is pretty incredible. Does anybody have any idea what the minimum, not the average, not what not what the highest paid player is paid, but what the minimum is for a Major League Baseball player? Anybody know what that is?
$400,000.
$400,000 a year.
Good grief.
So this is for guys that are basically on the bench that aren't even getting called in to play on a daily basis. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, man, how cool would it be to have a job where, you know, my boss might call me into work and just get me ready, and I get paid $400,000 a year. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Then I started reading a little bit more about it, and I was thinking, okay, so that's what the minimum is. Well, who is the highest paid baseball player? Anybody know who that is?
A-Rod?
It is, Alex Rodriguez, and he makes an astounding $33 million a year. And yet he still has time to cheat on his wife with Madonna and do all kinds of craziness outside of the game. So I don't want to get into my personal opinion about A-Rod. I know I did a little bit. However, $33 million a year to play this game. And what's interesting about it is there are two other guys on his team, the Yankees, that their combined salary is more than $75 million. Three of the highest paid four players in baseball. One is Alex Rodriguez. The third highest paid baseball player is Derek Jeter. He makes about $24 million. And then Mark Teixeira makes about $21 million. He's the first baseman for the New York Yankees. So I was thinking, my goodness, you know, to make that much money in 1 year is just incredible. That's not even counting their endorsements. And then I was starting to think, well, how much money is actually in the league total? You know, how much are these teams worth? And I started doing some research on that, obviously, and I found that the average Major League Baseball team is worth about $475 million. That's what they spend on the players, that's the value that they bring in, all that other stuff. $475 million on average. The New York Yankees take the cake, they're worth about $1.5 billion. So the overall value of the league is about $14.25 billion. Now we hear the term billion a lot. That gets thrown around like it's nothing in today's language. But to put some perspective on it, Major League Baseball, an entertainment entity of about 750 players, is worth $14.25 billion. The gross domestic product for the Bahamas, an entire nation of 350,000 people, is around $5 billion. So it's actually accurate to say that Major League Baseball is worth literally almost 3 times what the Bahamas are worth. And that to me just blew my mind. Another thing that I found interesting, because a lot of my friends will talk to me about it and they'll say, Charlie, you're missing the point. You know, when you talk about salaries and what these guys get paid, they're not going to be in the league that long. And that's true. On average, a Major League Baseball player's career is only about 5.5 years. So they'll say, look, you know, you're knocking these guys and I'm really not. I mean, I understand this is their livelihood and it's very hard to make it to that level, but on average career is about 5.5 years, and the average salary is about close to $3 million. It's $2.994 million. So they're making some good money over their career. Now, one of the other interesting things that occurred to me as I was thinking about this was even just to go to a game costs a lot of money. If a family of 4 were going to go to a baseball game and buy, say, hot dogs and drinks, it's going to cost them about almost $200 for that night, which to me, that just seems like an incredible amount of money to go out there and watch some guys hit a ball and chase around after it. I just couldn't get over it. So as I was doing all this research and I was thinking about it, the question for me still remains, is it really just a game? And the answer is, of course, yes, it is. I don't care how many billions of dollars that league is worth. I don't care how much money those guys make. At the end of the day, you got grown men playing the exact same game as T-ballers. You hit the ball, you throw the ball, you catch the ball. That's literally 99% of what baseball is. So it is just a game, but it's a great game, and I am looking forward to the rest of this season. Mr. Toastmaster.